Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something, I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hey, folks, and welcome into this edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and I really am so grateful that you pressed play and are joining me again this week. I've got 4 fantastic guests that I cannot wait to share with you. I've got a World Golf Hall of Famer, a former Champions Tour Player of the Year, one of the world's best putting instructors who also happened to be a tour player, plus our resident mental game coach is here with me again this week. So talk about a great lineup. I've got one ready for you, so I want to tell you who each and every one of those people are. Leading things off is 2019 Champions Tour player Scott McCarron. As you guys know, Scott has been a great friend of this show for many years. I've always thought that Scott should be a permanent member of the PGA Tour's policy board. He was a member at one time, but he is such a smart guy, got such a strategic mind. They could really use a guy like him in the room right now. I touch on that with Scott when he joins me here in a few minutes, but from there, we move on to talk about the Miracle on Ice. We've got the Olympic hockey, right, that's going on right now. We'll talk about the Miracle on Ice and its place in sports history, in his opinion. While we're discussing that, Scott also brings up a great U.S. Olympic sports moment achieved by a guy who we happened to have dinner earlier that night. Can you believe that? So we talk about that story as well, and it's a great one. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We also talk about winning his first major at the Senior Players Championship, coming from 6 strokes back in the final round. How the Champions Tour may be the most difficult of all the tours to qualify to go play on, and how all the changes on the PGA Tour, the ones that they are discussing that'll come up potentially in 2027, those changes, how they fly in the face of growing the game. Look, Scott's great. You're going to love his insights. He joins me, like I say, in just a moment. Following him, as it turns out, and I didn't know this going in, is one of his good friends, which is World Golf Hall of Famer Juli Inkster. Juli joined me after a wonderful introduction to the show by Tom Purtzer. You know what a great friend he is, so thank you, Tom. Juli and I start off talking about their long-term friendship and playing together and winning the 1986 Mixed Team Championship. You'll also hear about her amazing college career at San Jose State, where she won an amazing 17 tournaments. She shares the story of her first LPGA Tour win, which she got in her rookie season of 1983. Then 16 years later, winning her first U.S. Open at 38 years of age. She shares her emotions as she was walking up the 18th fairway, victory well in hand, and the message she said to her kids that the cameras caught. Juli played on 9 Solheim Cup teams, captained 3 of them, so you're going to hear those stories, including how in 2015 they came back from being down 10-6 going into the Sunday singles event and getting that humongous victory. So many great stories that we get from Juli in this segment. She joins me about a half an hour from now. Now be sure to come back and press play on part 2 of this episode when we get our regular monthly visit from the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. His lesson this time around focuses on patience and learning to become more resilient. A key takeaway is patience is confidence waiting to happen. I added that to my notebook that I keep of Dr. Bob-isms. It's another great lesson that you'll get in the lead-off of part 2 of the show. Then I round things out with a long overdue return visit from Dave Stockton Jr. Somehow, I missed Dave at the PGA Merchandise Show. He and his father were guests in the Genius Ball booth. Spoiler alert. Those guys are coming on the show here pretty soon. But I saw Dave Stockton Sr., but unfortunately somehow missed Jr. In this segment, Dave takes us to some of the great courses that he has played most recently out west, plus getting to hang out with Dodgers and Padres legend Steve Garvey, You'll hear about a great oceanside public golf course owned by Bill Murray, by the way. It's called Goat Hill Park that Dave loves. Then we wind up the segment talking about the Ryder Cup, since he and his father have been involved with so many successful U.S. teams in the past. I think it's time to bring them back and get some of their winning juju on the U.S. team. So we get into that as well. So I hope you agree. It's a great show in store for you. Thank you so much for being here and taking the journey with me. Sit back, relax, let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for the next hour or so. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I want to start off by giving a shout out to my great friends over at the Trib. TribLive.com is the leading news website in Western Pennsylvania, with news around the clock, Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, and a podcast network, which is where you can find Next on the Tee. Bookmark TribLive.com or download the Trib Live app for free and stay up to date with the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. And because it's never too early for chocolate, their double chocolate Bock is back for the season, and it's the perfect companion for a cozy winter evening. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop by going online to pittsburghbrewing.com. In golf, fast isn't a nice-to-have, fast is a necessity, and speed off the tee is where it all starts. That was precisely the thinking behind the all-new QI4D family of drivers from TaylorMade, our fastest, most fittable drivers. Built to meet the demands of the world's best players like Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Nelly Korda, and the rest of Team TaylorMade. The QI4D lineup was engineered to unlock the 4 dimensions of speed, starting with a multi-material driver head with enhanced aerodynamic shaping, combined with a faster face and our revolutionary React shaft system. The TaylorMade QI4D drivers are ready to extract every bit of speed from every golfer's unique swing profile. Our industry-leading adjustability and fitting unlocks it all. Watch the full story of QI4D, our quest to build the fastest, most fittable drivers, and unlock your newfound speed at TaylorMadeGolf.com/findingfast. Now back in Next on the Tee with me is 2019 Champions Tour Player of the Year, Scott McCarron. Let me remind you about Scott's background. He's from Sacramento, California. Played his college golf at UCLA, where he helped them win the 1988 National Championship. He graduated with his degree in history. He won 3 times out on the PGA Tour, 11 more times so far out on the PGA Tour Champions. In that 2019 season, Scott not only won the Charles Schwab Cup, he also won the Jack Nicklaus Trophy for being the Champions Tour Player of the Year. He added the Arnold Palmer Award for being the top money winner. He is also one of the most knowledgeable and respected guys out on the PGA or Champions Tour, bar none. I have so much respect for Scott, and it is just so wonderful that I get to have the privilege of having him back with me again this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Scott, thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks, Chris. Good to be here.
So, Scott, the season is just now getting started for you guys out on the Champions Tour. How you feeling? How you feeling health-wise? How you feeling about your game?
Yeah, healthy. I feel great. I was just over in Hawaii last week. We started the season at Ho'olulai, the Mitsubishi Classic, Electric Classic, one of the best tournaments we play all year on the Champions Tour. Get to stay at the Four Seasons right on the beach. It's just absolutely beautiful, and the Mitsubishi people take great care of us. So we had a good time and feel good. I shot 4 under for the 4 days, or for the 3 days, and just played okay. But a lot of good things happened, and I feel good about the game. I went over and played right after that tournament, a little pro-am we do at Kahanaiki, which is right by the airport there in Kona. We have 21 tour players there. Lee Trevino was there, Ben Crenshaw, Dickie Pride, Parker McLaughlin, Juli Inkster, And we just had a great time over there for a couple of days, and with the members, really interesting pro-am with where you're getting 21 tour players and former players to play with the members and do 3 dinners and just have a great time. Ben Crenshaw and Julie Crenshaw kind of set it up. We love going over there and helping them out.
All right, so I got to ask you a little bit about a couple of players that you mentioned. First with Juli Inkster, because she's coming on right after you. Talk about getting to play alongside Juli and getting to know her over the years.
Well, she's been one of my dear friends for a long time. I mean, she's just a sweetheart. And we got to work together for a couple of years when we did the Fox, all the open stuff. And that was a blast. So I got to kind of help Juli a little bit on course commentating, kind of teach her the ropes a little bit. And we had a really funny story. One of our first times out on Thursday at the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay, they weren't coming to Juliet much at all. And we were on for about 10 hours all day long. So we were walking around. She's following a group that, they're just never getting to her. And after about 5 hours, she finally sends, we had a group text from all of us. And she sends a group text accidentally where it was your Apple iPhone map where it says, Juli is here. And she sent it out to everybody. So we're like, just kind of Juli letting everybody know that she's still here. Somebody please call on her. And it was really one of the funniest things ever. But she was great. She learned the ropes so good, and she was awesome announcing. And when she got in the booth, she was even better. So I loved working with Juli. She's a dear friend. And we had a great time over a couple of days in Hawaii at Kwaniki.
You also mentioned Lee Trevino. It's got to be interesting each time you get an opportunity to be in or around him. Obviously, one of the great storytellers of all time. Talk about your relationship with Trevino over the years.
Well, Lee's been fantastic. I don't get to see him that much anymore, once or twice a year. But, we get to spend a couple days. And when he's on the driving range, we all go watch him hit, or he'll come home and watch us hit. And he's always free to give advice and check us out and give us tips, and we'll hit out of bunker shots and all kinds of wedge stuff. I mean, the guy he played great. I think he shot even par the first day of the Pro-Am. I mean, he shot 72. I mean, that guy, it's unbelievable how good he still plays.
At 86, right?
Yeah, he's 86 and he shot 72, beat his age by 14. That's incredible. Yeah. And it's not an easy golf course. And he's just an absolute character to be around, great storyteller. And they got up and did a really nice deal the second night. Ben Crenshaw, Lee Trevino, and Juli Inkster, and Brandel Chambly was there to interview him and just talked about old stories and caddy stories and old tour stories. And it was a lot of fun and great to listen to.
All right, so let's go back into your career a little bit. And we've talked about your PGA Tour career in the past. And you won 3 times in 1996, 97, and 2001. You transitioned to the Champions Tour in 2015, played a few events out there that season. But in 2016, now you're in the winner's circle twice, and nearly a third time, you finished second in the Senior Open. So 15 years after you get your last one on the PGA Tour, things come together for you. What was it?
Well, I think I just I turned an age where, I'm playing against 78 to 80 guys each week as opposed to 156. So the odds are a little bit better. I think when you turn 50, from that year from 50 to 54, 55, you're hungry. You want to prove something again. So I think, I took advantage of it. I mean, I played some really good golf there for 5 years, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, to be in the hunt all the time, and I'm going against Bernard Langer. It seems like every week we were battling it out. It was just an absolute blast for me. Unfortunately, I got sidetracked with a pretty bad injury with the left ankle, and I haven't quite played the same since. But my game is trending in the right direction. Started working with a new guy named Doug Spencer. He's here in Charlotte, in Huntersville. Great guy. Just got in the top 100 teachers, and I really like the stuff that we've been working on. So I'm looking forward to getting back in the winner's circle and playing some good golf again, because I know I still have it in me. I'm 60 years old, still in great shape, still hit it pretty far, and still feel like I can compete. So to be able to do that at 60 years old is pretty cool, and especially in the sport that I love.
Indeed. You won your first major in 2017 at the Senior Players Championship. You won 4 times in 2017. So you looked at 2016 into 2017. Things are building for you, and they're building off each other. Talk about the 2017 season for you.
Well, 2017 was a good season. I won 4 times. Had a lot of other opportunities. I had 13 top tens. Seemed like every time I teed it up, I was, somewhere in the hunt. So, I just felt very comfortable. And it was very interesting. I played like 6 or 8 events my first year on the Champions Tour, turning 50 not till July. So I kind of missed the season. And then I started putting myself in position to win, but wasn't getting it done. So I kind of sought out some advice of someone I thought was a prolific winner on the Champions Tour, Hale Irwin. He'd won 45 times. So I took him out to dinner and paid for his dinner as long as he'd answer some questions for me. and he was great. And basically just said, one, find out what type of player you are and be that player. Meaning, when I was on the PGA Tour, I always felt I had to play my best or hit that heroic shot, always going for everything just to win out on the PGA Tour. And again, I'm playing against Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, Vijay Singh, and Jim Furyk. These guys were winning all the time, or Retief Goosen. But even the tournaments that I did win on the PGA Tour, I didn't play my best, but I just kind of, hung around there and a couple of putts fell at the end and win. And on the Champions Tour, I was pressing a little bit early. And so he's like, hit the fairways, hit the greens, don't make any mistakes and see what happens. In the last few holes, you never know what's going to happen. And so I started putting myself in position and felt pretty comfortable and really wasn't forcing it during those years. And, won 11 times. I, probably could have won 20 times. But, somebody else maybe made a birdie or played better coming down the stretch, or I might have made a bogey when I, didn't need to. But, I certainly had a pretty good winning percentage during those 4 or 5 years. And that was, Hale giving me some good advice.
So speaking about anything can happen coming down the last few holes at that Senior Players Championship, I mean, you go in, you're 6 strokes down going into the final round. Now, on the strength of 4 straight birdies on the front 9, you end up beating Bernhard Langer, you talked about a moment ago, and Brant Jobe by a stroke. Now, Langer was winning going into the last couple holes. He was trying to win his 4th straight Senior Players Championship. He falters a little on 17. Suddenly, you're standing on the 18th tee. Instead of being a stroke down, you're a stroke up. Talk about your strategy. Did that change things for you going into the 18th hole? Did you change what you were going to do at all?
That was interesting because I missed a very short birdie putt on 16, the par 5, and kind of felt I needed a birdie 17 or 18 to have a chance. And I hit a really good shot at 17. It was a tough par 3 down the hill with water on the right and a deep bunker on the left. I think I hit 5-iron, hit a great shot in there, maybe about 15 feet, missed it. And then Brant Jobe was right there as well with Langer. I think Langer was maybe 2 up or 1 up, and Jobe and I were even at the time. And Langer hit in the water, made double, and Brant hit it in the bunker, and then left in the bunker and hit it out, and then actually hit it over the green, then chipped in or made a long putt. So I knew standing on that tee that I had the lead, because I kind of heard that Langer could hear the roars or grumbles when Langer hit in the water, and knew I needed to hit the fairway, which is it was a tough par 4 up the hill with a creek down the right hand side. I hit a really good drive and hit 8-iron to about 20 feet and 2-putted, but again I didn't know, and so we got up to the driving range and I was hitting balls, getting ready for a playoff with either Brant Jobe, arguably one of my best friends. We've been together since we were 18 years old at UCLA. As a matter of fact, he was just over at my house tonight. Earlier, we were playing indoor golf, which I took $20 from him because he won $20 the day before indoor golf, because we got a foot of snow here a couple of days ago. But, again, you never know what's going to happen. And both those guys hit good shots on 18, and I was standing on the range and didn't know what happened, but I heard the groans when both of them missed, and there we had my first major championship, which was really, really cool and really special. And to come out on top against both those guys, Brant Jobe and Bernhard Langer, was something pretty special.
Speaking of other special things that happened during that year, that's the year you married Jenny, right? The season, early in the season at Top of the Rock, Big Cedar Lodge during that tournament?
Well, yeah, we got married and right before, about 3 weeks before I won my first event in Des Moines, actually. So, and that's when I really started playing well. I think I should have married her a lot earlier. That's what she says, but I believe that too. Yeah, we did. We got married up at the Bass Pro Shop, top of the Rock, and it was kind of an impromptu. Decided on Friday at about 5:00. Brad Faxter and I were partners, and his wife Dory was kind of egging us on. Why don't we get married? And there's the church right there on the first hole. Top of the Rock is just the most beautiful thing you ever seen, overlooking Table Rock Lake. And we kind of put something all together, and it really it was all because of Johnny Morris, who owns Bass Pro Shop. Let us have the church. He made signs for us, like Shotgun Wedding and all this stuff. And then he had Civil War guys come and do a Civil War reenactment and shot off a cannon after. We had a harpist. I mean, it was very interesting. We sent an email on Friday at about 7:00 at night, and we had about 50 Champions Tour players show up there because that's basically our traveling family. And the tournament director was also ordained and married us. And Peter Jacobson walked Jenny down the aisle, and Mark O'Meara and Brad Faxon and my old caddy Rich Mayo were all in the wedding, and we just had a blast. I mean, we could have planned it for a whole year, and it wouldn't have turned out any better than what we did in 24 hours.
That's awesome. By the end of the 2019 season, you had won 3 more times, and that year you were also, you talked earlier about living inside the top 10. You lived inside the top 10 that whole 2019 season. So as everything built for you, Scott, was it a matter of your game just came together and things seemed to click? Was it a matter of building confidence over the prior couple of seasons and it pinnacled for you in 19? What catapulted you to the top of the Champions Tour?
I had a chance to win the Schwab Cup in 18. I was leading the tournament in Phoenix, and I was, I think, second or so going in. And then Vijay Singh had a phenomenal round on Sunday, and I didn't play great. I think he shot 29 the back nine to beat me. And I ended up finishing second in the Schwab Cup. So I really felt like I let that one slip. I would have played a little bit better. I could have won the Schwab Cup in 18. So, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove myself that I could win this thing. And, went out in 2019 and played some really good golf all year long. And it was very interesting. I wasn't being nervous at all about winning the Schwab Cup. And I had a lot of guys that had won it before talking about their trials and tribulations trying to win it, how nervous they were going into the Schwab Cup, how hard it is to win. I really didn't think about it all that much until then. And it wasn't until like the last round at Sherwood before we went to Phoenix. I started thinking, if I play well here in Sherwood, I think I was in 4th or 5th place at the time going last round. I'm going to sew this thing up. Nobody can catch me. And I played poorly the last round because I was a little nervous. I went there to the Schwab Cup because of that. And if Langer had won or if Retief Goosen won, maybe Jerry Kelly, they was the only guys that could pass me. I could lose the Schwab Cup again. And I started getting nervous about that. It was really weird. So I hadn't thought about it much all year, and I played poorly at that tournament. Instead it was in my hands, and I just couldn't get over the fact of being nervous. And sure enough, Retief Goosen played. All 3 of those guys, Jerry Kelly, Langer, and Goosen, all played great. But the last round, Goosen played really good, and wasn't for Jeff Maggart beating him in a playoff, holding that shot, again, I would have finished second in the Schwab Cup. So thanks to Maggart for holding that 7-iron on 17. That was pretty sweet.
Do you have that shot looping in the basement somewhere when the fellas come over?
Oh, I see it. The only time I ever see it is during the tournament, during the Schwab Cup tournament in Phoenix. They'll play it, so I'll see the reruns on that. But that's about it. I should play that more. One of the best things that ever happened to me was a shot I didn't even hit. I was up on the balcony drinking wine with everybody, so it was pretty funny.
Scott, the Champions Tour, to me, might be the most difficult of all tours to qualify to play on. I don't think people have an appreciation for how hard it is to get out there. It's not as simple as, well, I won on tour, or even I won a major on tour, so I'm automatically qualified to go out and play in the Champions Tour. It's genuinely hard to qualify to be a member of your fields each and every week. How has it evolved over the years to becoming the tour that it is, and how difficult it is to be a part of the field each week?
Well, it is. I mean, you've got to have had a pretty long career on the PGA Tour to be exempt on the Champions Tour. You've got to have enough career wins, let's say 6 or 6 points, which majors give you 3 points to get on the Champions Tour, or you have to have career money. And to have career money, you've got to have longevity. You got to be able to play 12 to 20 years on the PGA Tour to have that kind of career money to be exempt. So it is hard. We did have a qualifying school for the last few years, and we've had like 15 to 17 guys that never played the PGA Tour that got on the Champions Tour. They're having some success. But I don't really think the Champions Tour was made for that. The Champions Tour is made for kind of a second retirement for guys that supported the PGA Tour all those years. And so we've gotten rid of tour school now. So the only way to get on the Champions Tour, if you don't have career money or career wins, is to go to Monday qualifying and get on. But you can do it. And, guys have done it before. Tommy Gainey just did it last year. Stephen Alker did it a few years before. You've got to be a very good player to do that. But you certainly can. There still is a pathway to the Champions Tour, but we're not taking 5 guys off of the Q school anymore. So you've got to have a long career, and you got to play well for a long period of time to be exempt to play on the Champions Tour.
Scott, the PGA Tour seems like they're considering a lot of changes, from the number of tournaments that they're going to offer to field sizes, some of which won't have a cut, along with fewer tour cards being handed out year after year. How do you feel about what you're seeing the PGA Tour evolve into?
Well, it's interesting, Chris, with the development of live golf and all of that. I think the PGA Tour had to kind of go and say, if there was no professional golf in the world, what would it look like? And, would it be 20 to 25 events where the best players in the world are playing each other more often? That could possibly it. And I think they're trying to go down that road, now that the PGA Tour is a for-profit entity, where before we were always nonprofit. So they're looking at the bottom line, especially the guys that the guy that they got in there at the top now, Brian Rolapp, is a bottom line guy, and he's trying to make this thing profitable. And so when you do that, you got to look at and have to trim some of the fat, I guess you could say. Unfortunately, I think it hurts all these cities that we play in, week in and week out, year in and year out, all the money that we've raised in those cities for charity. I think it hurts those cities. So I think we got to come up with some plan to still be able to play in those cities. And maybe it could be Champions Tour events in some of these tournaments that are going to lose their spot. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work yet. I don't like it. To be honest, me looking back on it, I'm a little bit old school. I never liked taking away playing opportunities from players, which they've now just done. And they've made the PGA Tour a heck of a lot harder to get on and stay on. You're not going to have guys out there that are going to have 20-year careers or 30-year careers like I did. You're going to have guys go out there and play 4 or 5 years. 6 years, they're going to make a ton of money in those 6 years and lose the card and go back to the Korn Ferry. Whether they get it back or not, who knows? Because there's more and more players, Chris, as you know, and these players are a lot better than we were, and there's a lot more of them, and there's going to be a lot more turnover. So unfortunately, they're going to have to look for other places to play. Is that the Korn Ferry Tour? Are we going to have to prop that up with more money? Are we going to lose guys to go to the DP World Tour or the Asian Tour or going over to live? So I think there's a lot of issues that they still got to work on. I really don't have much of a say anymore. I'd like to, but I don't think they like what I have to say.
So many things I want to touch on that you just said, and especially the last piece, because I've said this to you before. I think you're one of the brightest guys out on either tour, and why Rolapp wouldn't want to come to a Scott McCarron and sit down and get your opinion and have you as a steady voice, if you will, or a reoccurring voice for what's going on. I don't understand, because, like I say, I think you are a voice of reason and a smart guy, and I think you need to be one of the voices in those rooms.
Well, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. I was on the board of the PGA Tour for 4 years. I did my stint. I've been on the Players Advisory Council probably 10 or 12 years during that time on the PGA Tour and on the Champions Tour. I know the inner and outer workings of both tours pretty well. I've got a good relationship with Miller Brady, our CEO and president of our tour. I had a very good relationship with Tim Fincham, Did not have a good relationship with Jay Monahan, and I have no relationship with Brian Roloff as of yet. And I think he should listen to some of the older guys. I mean, Ernie Els is a very good proponent of the Champions Tour and the PGA Tour, and would be a good sounding voice as well as some of the older guys like a Peter Jacobson and a Jay Haas. So we've got a lot of really good, smart guys that have been doing this for a long time that he should take advantage of. I know he's got Jason Gore down there, and Jason Gore is helping out the tour, which I think is great. But I also think it's good to have outside guys that you're not just paying, that really have an interest and aren't a part of the tour being paid, I guess you could say. And I don't know, maybe that will happen. Who knows? I'd like to see Brian Roloff come out to some of the Champions Tour events and see what we do, and see how valuable our product is, how good we are in the Pro-Ams, and how much money we raise in these small markets. And I wouldn't be surprised if the tour loses some events that the Champions Tour doesn't gain those events, and we might have 32 events in our Champions Tour, or 25 great events. That's another thing as well, because you want to have good events for us to plan.
And getting back to the point of what they're doing and evolving into, Scott, the phrase over the last several years, particularly with the PGA of America, but with the tour players as well, as growing the game, trying to grow the game. It feels like when you're trimming down the number of events, you're trimming down the number of cards, you're trimming down the number of players. It's like we're trying to grow the game at the junior level and up through college and that sort of thing. And once you kind of rise up and have an opportunity to get to the pinnacle, all of a sudden now that's not growing the game anymore. I struggle with it.
I completely agree with you, Chris. I mean, this is not growing the game, certainly at the professional level. You're going to see a lot of guys that were big name stars that all of a sudden have one bad year, or they go through an injury or a divorce or a sick kid, and all of a sudden they're out of a job, and to not be able to get it back because there's so few cards. I just don't believe they're going in the right direction. That's just my own feeling, because I just don't think you should be taking away playing opportunities from players, and that's not growing the game. That's shrinking the game.
Right. Talk to me about what you think about what Vijay Singh is out there doing, taking advantage of his one-season exemption to go back down and play on the PGA Tour. He's kind of showing the younger guys that at 62 he's not done.
I think it was great. He had that exemption, and he had to take it this year. So he played Hawaii. I don't think, from talking with some of the guys, I haven't talked to Vijay about it. I don't think he's going to play that much, Chris, to be honest. I think he played Hawaii. He made the cut, which was great. I thought that was awesome. And I congratulate him for that. So I just don't think he's going to play that much out there. I think he played that one event. He might play one or two more, but I think he's going to stick to the Champions Tour.
Switching gears a little bit, we're coming up on the Winter Olympics. To me, the 1980 U.S. hockey team and the Miracle on Ice is the greatest thing I've ever seen. When they beat the Soviet Union, then they come back a couple of days later and beat Finland to win the gold medal. Greatest sporting event of my lifetime. Are you a Winter Olympics guy? How do you feel about where the U.S. hockey team and their wins fit into sports history? How do you feel about all of that?
I do. Mike Ruzioni is a friend of mine, and he gave me a great picture that I still have of that winning goal and the hockey that they won. It was just incredible. So I am a big Winter Olympic guy. Dan Jansen's one of my best friends, lives right here.
Is that right?
A mile from me. Yeah, we work out all the time, play golf all the time. He's over at dinner at my house probably at least once or twice a week. And that, to me, was one, the Miracle on Ice was a great story, but his story at 99 in Lillehammer was one of the greatest Olympic stories ever, I think. And Dan is just such a hero in so many people's eyes. And he's heading over there to the Olympics to do a little announcing on the 12th. So he'll be there for 10 days, he and his wife, Karen. And so I'll be watching and listening to Dan call some of the Olympics speed skating.
Yeah, his story is amazing. What a redemption story. It was a tragic story that had an amazing turnaround and outcome. So it's cool that you guys are friends, and that is one of the great, not only Olympic stories, but sports stories ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Scott, you are always a great spokesperson for the sponsors that you have. I saw the Tour Edge has come out with a new golf ball. Is that a ball that you'll be putting in play at some point this year?
I'm not going to be putting the golf ball in play, but I'm be still hitting the driver and the 3-wood and the hybrids. I love that. I'm still under contract with Titleist and FootJoy to play that ball. But I have hit the Tour Edge ball, and it's really good. I'm not surprised. Everything they make the products are extremely good. So I think it's a good ball. It's worth it to try. Anybody's looking to try different golf balls, I would definitely try that new golf ball with Tour Edge. I think it's great.
Give a shout out as well to the other folks you're working with.
Yeah, I live right here at Trump National Charlotte. So Trump Golf has been a great sponsor of mine. They've been absolutely fantastic. Taiga Boats has been great here on Lake Norman. We've got a 24.5-foot Taiga RZX that I wake surf all the time during the summer. River Rock Easy Living Communities. Dan Hughes, one of my great friends here. We've probably about 7 little these communities from 100 to 200 homes, all rental properties over 55, and they're doing great. And I got to hand it. We had a foot of snow here last week, and Dan and Jerry and Brad were out there themselves at River Rock up here at Bloom Road shoveling snow because we've got a bunch of 60, 70, and 80-year-old people living there, and we couldn't get any snow plows to them, so they were up there themselves shoveling snow.
Wow.
And those owners of the company out there spent all day doing that, making the sidewalk safe for these people. And I got to hand it to him. He called me after, and I said, you should have called me. I would have set my wife up there to help. Chris, I can't get a blister. I got to have a tournament next week. So.
Yeah, exactly. These hands are very important.
They're very important. Let's see. Greg Norman Golf Apparel. I've been wearing Greg Norman Golf Apparel ever since they came out for almost 20-something years, which has been great. Jack's Bay, Eleuthera, a new golf course community down in the South Eleuthera. Check it out. Go to Jack's Bay and look it up. It's got Nicholas Design golf courses going in. The most beautiful piece of property I've ever seen for a golf course community. Can't wait till we get that thing going. And then a brand new sponsor this year, which is called Alpha Fully Loaded. I'm wearing their hat. And Alpha Fully Loaded is in the nootropics business. So it's a pouch that you put in your lip that gives you energy, gives you calmness, focus. They've got all kinds of a mushroom one, a caffeine one, a regular one. And it's a great product. I saw Tiger Woods pulled it out of the bag about 2 years ago, and they caught him doing it. Got a picture of it. And then Joe Rogan did a podcast on it where I saw that. And I'd been doing the nicotine pouches for a while and didn't really like it. Made me a little jittery. So I just sent an email to the company, told them who I was, what I did, and loved their product. And I have to admit, the owners got right back to me. They're headquartered right there in Akron, Ohio, right by Firestone, and said they used to follow me all the time during the Firestone tournament. And so we did a deal together, and I absolutely love the product. I think it's great. And it's going to help people get off tobacco and nicotine. And this stuff is good for you. And nootropics is a huge business. It's in drinks and pills and all kinds of stuff. And I really think this is going to be something that's going to help a lot of people.
All right. Now, I remember when the whole Tiger controversy came out and that sort of thing. So I've been curious about where that market was going. I was surprised it didn't explode sooner. But now that you're involved, I'll take a look. I think maybe it's what we all need to get out there on the golf course and play a little calmer, play with a little more energy. I'm interested to see, and hopefully I get an opportunity to catch up with you a little bit later on this season to see what you think and how it's doing for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Scott, before I let you go, remind our listeners again how they can stay up to date with you when they're following you out on social media.
You can follow me on Twitter at Scott McCarron. And then on Instagram at Scott McCarron Golf.
Well, Scott, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to come back and be a part of the show. You're always so much fun to spend time with. Like I say, I hope we get this privilege of catching up with you a little bit later on in the season.
Sounds good, Chris. Thank you very much.
Take care, Scott. All the best to you and Jenny.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you, Scott. That is the great Scott McCarron, folks. One of the absolute favorite guests that I've had here on the show, and one of my favorite guys out on the Champions Tour, anywhere for that matter. I marvel at his golf swing with the strength and power that he has, and how mentally tough and focused he is out there. And on top of that, he's just a fantastic guy. And like we talked about a little while ago, I think clearly one of the great leaders that the PGA Tour should be tapping into all the time to get his ideas, his wisdom, his thoughts, and that sort of thing. I can't believe that they don't tap into some of these guys, like he mentioned Ernie Els, but just so many great players, some of the older guys that have been around a long time and really know what goes. I think they should be tapping into those guys all the time to understand, hey, what do you think about this? What about if we change that? I hate to hear that they're not doing that. And Scott is a guy that they should be doing it to all the time. I'm rooting hard for him each and every week. I hope he makes another run at the Charles Schwab Cup. Like I say, they don't come better than that guy. And I'll look forward to catching up with him, like I said, later on in the season. Coming up next is World Golf Hall of Famer Juli Inkster. Before I bring Juli into the show, I want to remind you about our friends over at On Point Golf and their out-of-this-world On Point Golf Ball Marker. And if you don't have one, folks, you really need to go check it out at onpointgolf.us. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only three-dimensional ball marker out there, with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your three-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the #1 ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023, and they were using an On Point ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, you can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use On Point ball markers. Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today. And this year, get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Reese Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. Nestled high atop Lookout Mountain, the Keep offers breathtaking vistas that are made even more spectacular as the autumn colors paint the landscape in rich hues of red, orange, and gold. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. And folks, if you haven't tried 2 Under yet, you really need to. Why? Well, from the first tee to the clubhouse, 2 Under's Joey Patch is going to keep you comfortable and locked in all round or all day. Build your own bundle by going online to 2under.com. That's the number 2, UNDR.com, and you're going to save 20%. Okay, now next on the tee with me is 7-time major champion Juli Inkster. Let me remind you about Juli's background. She's from Santa Cruz, California. She played her college golf at San Jose State, where she was a 3-time All-American. During her college career, she won a remarkable 17 times. In 1982, she was named the San Jose State Athlete of the Year, and she won the Broderick Award for being the #1 women's college golfer in the country. She is a member of the San Jose State Sports Hall of Fame, and in 2011, she was inducted into the National Golf Coaches Association Hall of Fame as well. Juli became only the second player in history to capture 3 straight U.S. Women's Amateur Championships. She did so from 1980 to 1982. She turned pro in 1983 and captured her first LPGA title that year at the Safeco Classic and was named Rookie of the Year. 1984 was her first full season out on the LPGA Tour, and she won 2 majors that year. She went on to win 31 times on the LPGA Tour, including 7 majors, and of those 7 majors, she won the U.S. Open 3 times, the Kraft Nabisco Championship twice, and the LPGA and Demure Classic once each. She has 45 total professional wins, 149 career top 10s. She was named the 1999 Female Player of the Year by the Golf Writers Association, and that year she earned her way into the LPGA Hall of Fame. And that wasn't even her best year, because in 2000, she won the ESPY Award for Outstanding Women's Golf Performer of the Year after winning the U.S. Open and the LPGA Championship, and she was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. She played on 9 Solheim teams. In 2011, she became the oldest player and first playing assistant captain in Solheim Cup history. She has been the U.S. team captain 3 times. She won 4 times so far out on the Legends of the LPGA Tour. She's also a wonderful broadcaster, which you heard Scott McCarron talking about in the first segment when Juli was a commentator out there for the Golf Channel and Fox Sports. And I am so honored that I get to spend some time with her this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Juli, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Chris. How you doing? Good to be here.
I'm fantastic. You?
I'm great. I'm here in the desert in La Quinta and just living the dream.
So I had Scott McCarron on in the first segment, and Scott was telling me that you guys just had an opportunity to spend a little bit of time together, and you've spent time together when you've broadcasted together and you've known each other for a while. Talk about your relationship with Scott.
Yeah, well, I've known Scott for, when we used to play the JC Penney Classic, he would always play with Pat Hurst, was a good friend of mine. And I played Tom Purtzer, but we got to know each other there. We had some dinners, but then when Fox started broadcasting, it was kind of before Scott was in that gray area, not quite 50 yet. And I was just I was new at it. I'd never done it before. And so Scott and we were kind of the rovers on the ground. So he helped me out a lot because I had no idea what I was doing. And then we do this thing at Coney Iki on the Big Island. So they get some pros from the walleye champions, and then some LPGA players, and we just go over there and have fun for 4 or 5 days.
You mentioned Tom Purtzer, who, as you know, is a wonderful friend of mine and the show, and he's the one that connected the two of us. When he joined me a couple of weeks ago, he said that you're his favorite female on the planet. One of his daughters is named after you. Talk about Tom.
Oh, he's a great guy. I was a rookie, and I didn't know how to get a partner or anything, and Tom called me, or his agent called me or whatever, and said, "Hey, Tom Purtzer is interested playing in the mixed team with you." And I go, "Yeah, sure." And we just became really good friends. We played, I think, for 12, 13 years together in the mixed team. And it was something I always looked forward to. And I think he did too. And we just got to be really good friends. And we stay in touch a lot. I think the world of him. He's kind of like, he's family to me. And he did name his, he's got a lot of kids, but the last one got Juli. So I finally made it. So it took me 8 kids, but I got the last one. So it was great.
You mentioned playing in the mixed team with him. You guys won it in 1986. What do you remember about that week?
No, we played great. We always were kind of up there, but we could never really get over the hump. And I put Tom in a lot of weird spots, but he seemed to get him out. And I think I was rolling the rock that week. So we kind of hammed and egged it pretty good to go ahead and win, which, it's always special when you can win with, one of your best friends. And that's what I really enjoy about the Solheim Cup is having a partner out there and, really being able to just yuck it up and have some fun and be able to share the moments with your partner.
Have you forgiven Tom for missing that 2-foot putt on 18, which would have broken the tournament scoring record?
I don't remember. Don't even remember. A win's a win.
Indeed. Going back to your early days, I read that you ran track, you swam, you played softball, basketball, tennis. When did golf enter the mix for you?
Well, I didn't start till I was late. I didn't start till I was like 15. I got a job parking carts and picking up the range at the golf course. And I had 2 older brothers who played basketball and football and baseball. And I just kind of followed them around. I was a jock. I love sports. My dad got a hitting machine for the backyard. And I think I spent more time in the hitting bay than hitting machine than my brothers did. I just always loved sports. And when I got the job at the golf course, I just, I had a lot of guy friends that played high school golf, and I just said, I think I can do this. So I got some clubs from the back room and started playing. And then the boys coach at Harbor High, Floyd Slider, called my parents and said, "Hey, I hear Julie's starting to play golf. We'd love to have her try out for the golf team." So I tried out and I made JV my sophomore year, and then my junior and senior year I made varsity, and it just kind of I took to it pretty quickly.
So let's talk a little bit more about that, because you're playing on the boys team there at Harbor High. How did the guys take to you, and how did the opponent guys take to you coming out and being a part of the boys team?
Well, the guys on the team they're pretty much all my friends anyway, so that was great. But the guys on the other team really didn't appreciate a girl beating them, and I think it just made it all that much sweeter. So it was fun. It was I have to say, if the coach didn't call my parents, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now, because just having the opportunity to learn how to play match play or learn how to play in a golf tournament, we didn't really have the opportunity to do that. We couldn't really afford tournaments. I mean, I think the first time I played out of California, I qualified for the U.S. Open when I was 18, and that was the first time I played a tournament. It was in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Your senior year in high school, San Jose State offered you a scholarship, but I have to imagine other schools were knocking on your door as well. Who else was in the running besides San Jose State?
Well, no one really, because I never played, I never played the junior, the U.S. junior. I never played in tournaments. I play a one-day tournament, around the area. But when I qualified for the U.S. Open at 18 and made the cut, then I had a bunch of coaches come up and say, where have you been? What have you been doing? And I already committed to San Jose State because I knew I needed to go somewhere where I could play, because I was raw. I needed a lot of work, and I knew I'd play at San Jose State, and we always played against the best teams. And I was dating my husband at the time, and it was just a great fit for me. So, it really worked out great.
And when you get there, you got to team with Patty Sheehan. You won 17 tournaments during your college career. She won 5 times. I mean, the other players must have known when they saw you two get off the bus, they weren't playing for first or second. They had no shot.
Yeah. So, Patty actually came in my sophomore year, and Reno, Nevada got rid of their team, so she transferred. And so I was a sophomore. I think she was a 5th-year senior, and had a year of eligibility. So it was great. I mean, I learned a lot from Patty when she turned pro. I didn't really know, what I was doing, but having her go before me, and I could kind of figure out a lot of stuff, just picking her brain.
Of the 17 college wins that you had, 3 were other schools' tournaments. You won the Husky Invitational, the Arizona Invitational, and the Lady Aztec Invitational. Was there a little extra juice for you playing in another school's invitational and then taking home the title?
No, not really. I just wanted to win. I didn't really care whose tournament it was or what. I just was always trying to just kind of improve my game and make sure at the end of the day that I gave it my all, and just kind of let the chips fall where they did. But I didn't really worry about what tournament it was, or who's playing or whatever. I was just kind of focused on my game and my teammates' game.
And speaking of tournaments, you have one named in your honor, the Juli Inkster Invitational, which is coming up next month, March 9th and 10th. They won it for you back in 2022. What's it like having a tournament named in your honor and then getting to have your alma mater win it?
Oh, it's great. I mean, this year they moved it from Meadow Club to Harding Park. But I always try to make sure I get there for the dinner or one of the days. But it just kind of, full circle, just kind of maybe honors me of what I brought to San Jose State and into the team. And so it's fun getting to know, I'm pretty good friends with Dana Dorman, the coach there, and really good friends with Ann Walker at Stanford. So, I get to, work with the younger players and the, half of them don't even know who I am. So, but otherwise, it's kind of fun to, if they want to pick my brain and stuff like that, I love to be around helping them out.
When you joined the LPGA Tour back in 1983 and got a win that rookie year, I want to talk about what it was like for you coming down the stretch. It's the Safeco Classic. You're a rookie on the LPGA Tour, and now you're trying to actually get your first tour win. What do you remember coming down the back nine in the final round trying to earn that first win?
Well, I was trying to hunt down Kathy Whitworth, which is kind of hard to do. She's one I always, looked up to. She was kind of at the end of her career, and I was kind of starting. But it was the worst weather. You know how Seattle could get. So it was raining and it was cold. And I think the last day I shot 1 under and just passed a bunch of people and ended up winning by 1. But it was. I don't know. I always knew I could do it. I mean, being the U.S. amateur champ, I got to play in a lot of LPGA tournaments, which helped me as an amateur to kind of figure out where my game was. And then to actually, win. I remember I won 22,500, and I thought I was just rich as can be. And it was great. My parents were there. They saw my first win, so it really made it special.
In 1999, you came to the U.S. Open at 38 years of age, searching for your first U.S. Open title. And not only did you get it, you set the record for the lowest total to par, finishing 16 under. You win that thing going away at Old Waverly Golf Club in West Point, Mississippi. What was that week like for you?
Well, I mean, as an American, you always you want to win your national championship. And I lost in 92 to a playoff to Patty Sheehan. And, you just really, at that time I was 39 years old. I had a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. And, you just really don't know how many more times that you're going to be able to have a chance to win a U.S. Open. And I just remember I was playing really well up to that point, and I just kind of had a little talk to myself when I was driving there. Just, it's your time. You got to go out there, play aggressive, and you're playing well. And I got off to a really good start, and I just kind of kept the pedal down. And it was just, I don't know, it was such a relief at 39 to be able to, first of all, that kind of got me the Grand Slam, which, took me, I won in 83, and then I won in the last leg in 99. So it took me a long time to do it, but I was pretty persistent. And just to know that I won the national championship, I don't know. I felt like everything else is just icing on the cake.
On the final hole, you had a great drive right down the middle. The green was over a pond. You had room to bail out to the right where you could have laid up, chipped on, made bogey, or even double. You still would have won by a few. But you end up taking dead aim, and the ball lands just a few feet from the hole. What was going through your mind sizing up that last shot, and then when it landed on the green?
Well, Chris, you don't know me very well. There's not a pin that I don't like. I always been pretty aggressive. My caddy will say, let's just go, 20 feet left. And I go, okay. And somewhere in my mind, I just want to go at the pin. So, I hit my irons great all week. And I think it was a 7-iron or 6-iron. There's no way I was going to just, lay up and then go on. I wanted to make birdie and win it that way. But, I hit a great shot, and, it was just big relief. It was just like, I'm going to be holding the U.S. Open trophy, and I'm going to have my name on that with all the great champions. And I can go anywhere in the world and say I won the U.S. Open, and everybody knows what that is.
You said to your kids on camera as you were walking up to the green, Mommy's bringing home a really big trophy. Talk about that.
I said I'm bringing home a trophy, and it's a really big trophy. Yeah, they weren't with me that week. They usually travel all summer with me, but for that week, I just went by myself. And Brian came in on the weekend, or came in on Sunday and watched me play Sunday. So it was great to share it with him too. But I remember I was super nervous because I think I had a 5-shot lead, and it just you want something so bad, but you got to go through the process to get there. And, I was leaking a little bit of oil out there, but I find myself, I regrouped and started hitting some really good shots in. And I played a great round of golf the last day.
You played on 9 Solheim Cup teams. How does
Mhm.
being a part of that event compare to playing in a major?
It's two different things. A major, you're just there for you. The Solheim Cup, you're there you're playing for your country, you're playing for your teammates, you're playing for your captain, playing for your family and their families. I really took it seriously. I really, every year that was my goal, was to get on the Solheim Cup team. And, I was fortunate enough to make quite a few of them. And it's probably the most nervous I've ever been is playing on the Solheim Cup team. But they're just your sisters for life. And I love everything about the Solheim Cup. I love why you play. I love having a partner out there. I love it. Whether we win or lose, I just love the camaraderie of the dinners, the practice rounds, just hanging out, and getting to know your peers better than, you just know them when you're playing the 18 holes of golf.
The first team that you captained in 2015, you guys start the final day down 10-6, thanks to some shenanigans to finish up the matches from the previous day. But talk about what it was like watching how things unfolded, from finishing up the 4-ball event and the drama that unfolded during the singles matches that led to an unbelievable comeback victory.
Yeah, it was, you know, it's kind of a weird feeling. I just really never thought we'd lose, and we were just getting thumped. And I think after that little mishap, I think it just fired my team up, and I just told them, hey, we got nothing to lose out there. You just go win your point, and we'll add them up at the end. And never forget, Jarena Pillar bogeyed 17. So we're going down 18, and one of my good friends is driving my cart, a guy named Dave Fleming, and I go, David, what happens if we lose this hole? And he goes, we lose the cup. I go, what happens if we win this hole? He goes, we're still in it. And Jarena sunk about a 15-footer for par to win the hole. And then, Angela behind her won, Paula behind her won, and we ended up winning. And I don't know how we did, but they played their hearts out, and it was an epic win.
You created the Juli Inkster Senior Award for players who won't turn pro until they get their college degree. Talk about why that's so important to you.
Well, it's important because we're the LPGA qualifying school. It's in the fall. So as a collegiate player, you can go as an amateur and put your ring in the hat. And if you make it, you get full status the next year. So you could have a coach, a school could have aspirations of winning the national championship, and their top two players go, their top one or whatever, go to the qualifying school, get their card, and then they leave school. And now, she can't replace that scholarship, or he can't replace that scholarship. And say you have, your fourth and fifth players, they're part of the team, and, they probably won't play professional golf. So they have one chance to win a national championship, and all of a sudden it's gone. So Workday and I developed this. You have to play all 4 years at your school, representing your team, your school, and your teammates and your coach. And then I take the highest ranking senior on the clipped list. And with Workday and myself, we give them $50,000 to start their career. They get 2 exemptions in LPGA events, and they get a 2-day kind of seminar with me. It's kind of a fun thing, so they can get to know me. That during the year they can call me and ask me questions. And in college, everything's done for you. When to practice, what to wear, hotels, travel, how do you get from A to B, and then all of a sudden you turn pro, and none of that's done for you. How do I get a caddy? How much do I pay a caddy? Do I need a manager? I have this opportunity to play in this pro-am. Should I play in the pro-ams? So all those questions I just try to help them out with and kind of get them going. And, it's great. Every one of my Inkster were the last 5, they're all going to be playing on the LPGA. Well, my first one, Natalie, decided she was in COVID, and she decided to go back and get her medical degree. So I let her take that money and apply it towards, her schooling. But every other one is going to be playing on the LPGA. So it's been really rewarding for me.
Juli, just a couple more before I let you go. You won the Bobby Jones Award a few years ago, which is one of the highest honors in our game. It recognizes your achievements, plus the respect you have for the game and your passion for giving back to it. What was it like for you being recognized that way?
Well, first of all, when Mike Wan called me and said I was the recipient of that, I was like, I was shocked. But I was so honored, and to be able to have my kids induct me, was really something special because when I had my kids, I really struggled. Traveling with 2 kids on the road, my golf game suffered, and I didn't really know if I was doing what I should be doing. Is this the right thing? Almost gave it up, ended up not, kind of, working my way through it. But, it just made me feel like, hey, here, after all you do, you keep playing, you keep playing, you keep playing. And then all of a sudden, you get honored for something like this. It's like, you know what, maybe I did things right. And, that was one of my biggest achievements was having my name on that Bobby Jones trophy.
You're in multiple Hall of Fames, including the LPGA and the World Golf Hall of Fame. In the history of women's golf, there are only 6 players who have won more majors than you, but you did it over the course of 3 different decades. You add in all the Solheim Cups. Do you ever just sit back and allow yourself to kind of soak in all the great things that you've achieved in the game and acknowledge that you're one of only a few women to reach the heights that you did?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And just how every decade I was able to win a major. I love the game of golf, and I'm kind of weird. I love to practice. I love to play. I love the banter of golf. It was never a job for me. I mean, yeah, it was hard. I mean, going from A to B and playing and practice rounds and pro-ams and tournaments, and then getting up and doing it the next week. But I enjoyed the journey, and I kind of just I never really let things get too high or too low. And I still really enjoy the game. I played today with 4 guys, and the banter was great. So we doubled down on 18 and we broke even. So I felt like it was a win.
Juli, let our listeners know, how can they stay up to date with you and the great things that you're out there doing, whether it's online or it's on social media?
Well, my Instagram is Juli Inkster, and then I have the Juli Inkster Foundation, and then on Twitter I'm at Juli Inkster too. I'm not really big into it. I'll post some stuff here and there, but I'm really proud of my foundation, and that's kind of what I strive to keep building.
Well, Juli, it's been a huge thrill to get to spend some time with you. I hope we get this privilege with you at another point, maybe later this year or in the future, because you're outstanding, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Take care, Juli. All the best to you and your family. That is the great Juli Inkster, folks. What a huge thrill to get to spend some time with her. You talk about one of the greats in the history of the LPGA Tour, and her name is right at the top of that. I mean, for crying out loud, going all the way back to her college, 17 wins in her college career, unbelievable for her. And 45 professional wins, 149 top tens in every Hall of Fame that you can imagine. It's just unbelievable. No wonder, Tom Purtzer said to me, "Hey, Chris, you got to have Juli on. She's fantastic." And certainly lived up to the billing. There was no question in my mind that she wouldn't. And just, on top of that, when we get in maybe perhaps next time, but Tom talks about she's just a sports nut. And look, as we talked about through the course of the conversation, she played every sport as a kid. So she likes to weigh in on some other things. Maybe we'll test her out and see just what she's interested in, who she's interested in, the other athletes that had some emotional tie to her, who her idols were outside of the game of golf growing up. So many other things I wanted to talk to her about. So I look forward to catching up with her again soon. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on part one of this week's show. My sincere thanks again to Scott McCarron and Juli Inkster for making that segment so much fun to be a part of. I hope you really enjoyed part one of the show. Now be sure to come back for part two, because the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters, has more for us, and one of the great putting instructors and former PGA Tour player, Dave Stockton Jr., makes a return visit to the show as well. It's going to be a fantastic part two. I hope you'll come back and press play on that one as well. Folks, I cannot thank you enough for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts. You know what I feel about you. I love each and every one of you. I can't thank you enough for making the show what it is. If I could ask one favor from each of you, no matter where you listen to the show, if you would go out on that platform and subscribe to the show and give it a rating, you know what that means to me and to the algorithm for getting this show in front of more people. Those podcast sites will then recommend this show based on your rankings and your subscription numbers to other people. So I'd appreciate if you would take just a second, go out there and subscribe and rate the show. It would mean a great deal to me. Folks, as always, very grateful for you. Huge amount of vitamin G for each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies, and be sure to follow it on Trib Live or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.